it's going to be next year. Chad Green and Swanson and the two lefties are fine. As far as power, this is one of the weakest hitting teams the Blue Jays have ever had. They need more power. There are two prime free agents in my mind, Anthony Santander and Teoscar Hernandez. I think they would be a good complement to Vladdy Guerrero in the lineup. But, you know, you hope Bo Bichette comes back to who he has been in the past, but you never really know. How is Varsho going to be coming back from shoulder surgery? But there are a lot of questions. The problem is the Blue Jays don't have a deep farm system. They don't have a lot of trade pieces down there, so they're going to have to go the free agent route to get better.
I think everybody can agree, Jamie, there's a lot of work to be done to get this team back to where they want to get next year. Hopefully it is a fruitful winter, and it's a deeper-looking roster heading into 2025.
All right, gentlemen, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in search of his 200th hit. He'll lead things off for the Blue Jays on the final game of the year. We'll have the first pitch flying on Sportsnet right after this.
Yeah, trendsetter.
Not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
Yeah, trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center.
Ontario, we see you. When everyone else only sees hockey-obsessed Canadians, born wearing skates.
Well, one player who's got a lot to be proud of this year is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And again, he is hoping to reach lofty heights here today. If he can pick up one more hit, that would be 200 on the season. He would be just the 6th Blue Jay ever to get to 200 hits. That's why he is in the leadoff spot today, to try to get him as many at-bats as possible. And we can tell you, if and when he gets that hit, he's immediately going to come out of the game. So, yeah, a home run would be nice, but in a way, Buck, a single would be a little bit better. Then he would get an ovation as he comes off the field. And we can tell you for the Marlins, they've done the same thing. Look at Otto Lopez down in the lineup, former Blue Jay. He's doing great. But Jake Burger is leading off because he has 29 home runs, and the Marlins would like to do everything they can to try to get him to number 30. Of course, everybody up and down the lineup for the Marlins has been swinging the bats very well the last couple of games. Ryan Burr will be the opener today and will try to shut down the Marlins for an inning or two.
That'll be the 4th time Burr has played this role as the opener in a ball game this season. He has pitched very well starting the ball game. He's thrown 4 1/3 of shutout baseball. Only walked 1 and struck out 8, and more than likely it'll be Ryan Yarbrough at some point of this game to pick the bulk innings in this game. But you're right, Dan. The Marlins, they've hit .364 in the first 2 games with 12 extra base hits and 4 home runs. And this is supposed to be a team that's not a very good hitting team, but the Blue Jays have given up some hard contact in this series so far. Defensively, a totally different look in the outfield for sure, with Loper, Fido, Clase, and Stuart Baroa from left to right. Luis De Los Santos gets his 8th start at third base. Clement and Schneider up the middle. Horwitz over at first base as Vladdy's the DH, as Dan mentioned, and Tyler Heineman making his 4th start behind plate.
So basically, the guys who haven't had a chance to play very much are in the lineup for game 162. Beautiful day, by the way. The roof is open. Always nice to have that this late in the season, and underway with a first pitch fastball over the outside corner. A strike to Burger. I mean, more of that, please. Blue skies, 21 degrees, a nice little breeze. It doesn't mean much in the big picture, but the Blue Jays would love to finish the year with a win today. They are just 2-9 in their last 11. Before that, they were 72-78. They had been playing better, but they have not played well the last couple of weeks. And John Schneider said, you know, they're not thrilled with the way they've been playing the last couple of weeks. They would like to go out this season with a victory, as Burger reaches out and pokes an 0-2 slider into center for a base hit.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't been the kind of finish or the kind of season that John Schneider thought about going back to spring training. And this is that slider that Ryan Burr throws a lot, and it was a pretty good pitch. Not in a bad spot, but Burger gets a base hit.
Chris Bassett's season is done, but he is hanging out along with all the rest of the starting pitchers in the dugout watching game number 162. I don't remember Bassett wearing those sunglasses before. Not that I keep close track of this.
Yeah, I haven't seen this before. Rose-colored glasses here on Sunday afternoon.
I will bet you. I'll bet you a loony those are Bowden Francis's glasses. Don't those look like Bowden Francis? Like Bowden Francis would wear those?
Yeah.
I think they're Bowden's.
Let's see what Bowden's sporting. Ooh, he got some fancy glasses on as well.
Yeah, he's got some new glasses. Here's Xavier Edwards to take low. He's the normal leadoff hitter, but again, Berger in the leadoff spot to try to get him as many at bats as they can. Edwards had 3 triples on Friday night among 4 hits. A quieter day yesterday, but still 1 for 4 with a double and a walk. 3 balls and a strike.
Ron Byrne has not had any issues with control. He's done a pretty good job for the Blue Jays, and I think going into the offseason, they probably have penciled in his name in the bullpen for next year.
High fastball is fouled back, and it's 3-2.
You know, John Schneider was asked a lot of questions the last few days about, well, you know, what kind of team do you envision next year, and it's so hard to really think about who on this team is going to be part of the team next year coming out of spring training, because you just don't know who might come in with free agency, who might be traded for. You just never know. And the Blue Jays right now, they're kind of in a spot like they were early in their franchise history, where they play in a different country. They're not very good right now, and it'll be difficult to convince free agents to come here until and unless you sign Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Then the ball club really states their plan. Okay, we've committed to Vladdy, now we'll commit to other free agents. Then you're back in play as far as a destination.
And of course, we have no knowledge over whether they have talked and if they are close. Offers have been made. All of that happens behind closed doors. 3-2 is a one-hopper that will get past Davis Schneider and into right field. He kind of made a stab at it off to his right, but it goes into right, and the first 2 have reached for the Marlins.
Well, in the game yesterday, Schneider made a terrific play on a similar hard hit ball by Xavier Edwards, but to his left. He dove into the outfield and made a great play. This time, he never really gets his feet in good position to make a play, and that ball skipped right under his glove into right field.
And it goes as a base hit for Edwards, so 2 on, nobody out. And the batter is Connor Norby, the third baseman, former Baltimore Oriole. And you could see quite clearly that Tyler Heidemann didn't like the fact that that wasn't called a strike. Sliced foul. It's 1-1, and Ryan Yarbrough is up in the pen. He's going to come in and get a lot of work today, and the spot for him might be when Jesus Sanchez, the left-handed hitter, is coming up. He's in the 5th spot in the order. And a diving stop at first. A really nice play made by Spencer Horwitz to get the out as the runners advance.
Boy, a terrific play. Spencer was shaded well off the foul line, and Norby just punched it up toward the first base bag. And he went a long way to dive and knock it down. Then it gets to his feet. Look how far away from first he is. And this ball almost sneaks into right field, but he gets up quickly and retires Norby. Of course, the players move up here. This is an interesting meeting right now. Pete Walker out of the dugout in the first inning. He obviously wants to see something specific from Ryan Burr in this next at bat.
Jonah Bride is going to be the batter. There's a base open at first, and again, Yarbrough could be coming in for the next hitter no matter what happens here. Ryan Burr, his 34th appearance as a Blue Jay, and he is obviously hopeful that he has put himself into consideration for a job out of the spring next year. There will be new arms coming in, competing for jobs in the bullpen. I think overall Ryan Burr's body of work has been very solid out of the bullpen.
No question. He has done a nice job, man. Coming into this game today, he had allowed no runs in 25 of his 33 appearances. Good ERA over his last 13 games. Imagine the meeting that Walker had with Burr was, hey, we're going to bring Yarbrough in to pitch the left-hander, so don't really throw anything down the middle of this guy. If you walk him, we're cool with that.
Missed outside, 2 balls and a strike. And here's a ground ball up the middle off the glove of Clement. 1 run is in as it bounces away. A 2nd run will score. And the Marlins have taken the lead in the 1st inning for the 3rd game in a row.
Yeah, and you know what? Ryan Burr has been victimized by some seeing eye base hits. A ball that snuck past Snyder was a potential double play ball. Ernie Clement dives and knocks this ball down. He deflects it over towards Snyder, but nobody's going to have a play, and 2 runs come in.
And no sign of John Schneider. Ryan Burr will stay to face Jesus Sanchez with a runner at first and 1 out. Sanchez with power, 18 home runs on the season. He's got 3 hits and 3 walks in the first 2 games of this series. He went around there and it's 1-1. Slider in the dirt blocked by Heineman. 2 balls and a strike as Burr's now up to 20 pitches here in this outing. This is the first time in his 4 outings as an opener that he has given up a run. Outside, 3-1.
Sanchez, you mentioned 18 home runs. 15 of those home runs have come against right-handed pitchers. He's had his problems facing lefties.
And that is in there, 3-2. Next would be Dane Myers, the center fielder, who had a big game yesterday for the Marlins. Bride is not running, and it's fouled back, so still a full count on Sanchez. Sanchez just told his bat or the baseball or whatever, turn it around, hit it that way instead of this way. And he keeps telling himself that. Two again, and he got him swinging. 2 down.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of swing and miss in Sanchez's game. That's the 138th time he has punched out this season. And Ryan Burr makes a good pitch with the fastball.
So 2 outs, and here's Myers. We mentioned the big game he had yesterday. He went 2 for 4, a double and a homer. And he drove in 5 runs, a 2-run double and a 3-run homer.
Yeah, they have hit 4 home runs in the first 2 games of this series.
Burr behind 2-0. And a missed outside, ball 3.
Yeah, we've not seen Burr fight his control and command as much as he has here today. He has thrown 27 pitches, just 15 strikes.
And in there with a strike, 3-1 as Myers was taking all the way. The Marlins 61-100 on the season, trying to end their year on a 4-game winning streak. Burr gets the call there, 3-2. So now Horwitz will come off the bag. He's asking if they want him to play behind the runner, and the answer is yes. So he'll play behind Bride at first. Bride will be moving on the pitch. It's in the air to center field and will be caught by Clase to retire the side. The Marlins get a couple. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will lead it off for the Blue Jays. Career is leading off in a ball game, and the reason for that is quite simple. They want to give him as many at-bats as they possibly can to give him as good a chance as possible to get that 200th hit of the season. As you can see, other than Guerrero, it's guys who either weren't with the team or weren't in the lineup way back in the season. A lot of guys who have come up from the minors and getting a chance to get a few at-bats here in game number 162. On the mound for the Marlins, left-hander Ryan Weathers.
Ryan Weathers, a former 7th overall pick by the San Diego Padres out of high school, made his debut with the Padres in the postseason. Major League debut, game 1 of the division series against the Dodgers, October 6th of 2020.
If Guerrero can get that 200th hit, he would be the 6th Blue Jay to ever reach that milestone, the first one in over 20 years. And a couple of close pitches have gone his way. It's 3-0. Walking is nice, but given the situation and the reality of the standings and all that, Vladdy wants to swing the bat here today. So obviously he has the green light on 3-0.
Yeah, and John Snyder was asked how he would like to see hit number 200 unfold. He said it'd be really nice if he hit a home run.
If he hits a single, they're going to take him out right away. He'll get the ovation. And he'll walk. So 1 plate appearance in the books for Guerrero. He will reach here to begin the bottom of the first. And again, with no George Springer today, no Alejandro Kirk, obviously veterans like Bo Bichette, Dalton Varsho are on the IL. It is a young lineup, to say the least. Here is Jonathan Clase, the switch hitting outfielder, batting in the 2 spot today.
Clase just getting an opportunity here. You see he's played 6 games with the Blue Jays. And all 6 of those starts as the center fielder.
Pulls it foul, and it's 1-1. John Schneider talked yesterday about how every player kind of has an exit interview. Here's what we'd like you to think about and work on heading into the 2025 season. What do you think the message for Jonathan Clase should be?
I think he needs to improve his outfield routes. He needs to maybe play a little shallower in center field. And there have been times when he has gotten to baseballs where he's not really made focus and maintained focus to make the play. He'll get there, but we've had him seen him drop a couple of balls that he's had in his glove. But he's got tremendous speed, and he certainly has speed that the Blue Jays would like in the outfield. I mean, if he could turn into a leadoff hitter as a stolen base threat and a switch hitter top of your order, that would be a real benefit. But I think he's a ways away from that just yet.
See Ryan Yarbrough looking on. He'll be coming in at some point soon here in this game. Guerrero draws a throw.
If that was a good throw, that would have been very close because Vladdy was leaning in the other direction. Watch Vladdy's lean. Yeah, they thought about going back and then was late diving back.
Ground ball back of third, and Clase with plenty of speed to beat it out.
Norby recognized that Clase could run, and the ball took him into foul territory, so he had to unload in a hurry. And Clase just outruns this throw to first base. Clearly across the bag in plenty of time. And he can fly. He's one of the fastest guys in Major League Baseball.
So the first two have reached for the Blue Jays here in the bottom of the first. And here's Spencer Horwitz, who is putting the wraps on a fine season for him. Of course, started off with Buffalo, but it came up a couple of months in. Hitting .268, a dozen homers, got an on-base percentage of .358. The third time this year that Horwitz has started in the 3 spot. Of course, generally that has been Vladimir Guerrero Jr. territory. A slow breaking ball misses low, and it's 2-1.
Now Spencer, he got 325 at bats coming to this game, and he got plenty of opportunities. He did a nice job with it. Played in now 97 games.
He won't win the award, but he could get some down votes in Rookie of the Year. You know, maybe finish 5th, 6th, something like that in Rookie of the Year balloting. Had he been up earlier, who knows? Maybe he'd have a better chance. But either way, a very good rookie season for him. And he'll draw a walk, and the Blue Jays have loaded the bases with nobody out against Weathers. So a great chance for the cleanup hitter today, as Luis Ureta, the acting manager of the Marlins, looks on. There's going to be a meeting on the mound already as the pitching coach for the Marlins, Mel Stottlemyre, comes out to the mound, and they're going to talk about today's cleanup hitter for the Blue Jays, and that guy is Ernie Clement, who is hitting in the cleanup spot for the 2nd time this season.
Yeah, man, I think Mel Stottlemyre Jr. is trying to encourage Ryan Weathers. Hey, you don't stand a chance if you can't throw strikes. You got to get into that strike zone. And he's walked 2 in this inning. He's given up an infield hit. And now he's got the bases loaded and nobody out. And you can see it's a pretty stern message to the catcher and to the pitcher.
Ryan Weathers' dad, David, spent his first 2 years in the major leagues, parts of them anyways, with the Blue Jays. Went on to have a long 19-year career, but he made his major league debut in 1991 as a Blue Jay. Here is Clement, another guy who I think would and should feel good about his season, as he has popped it up shallow right center field, and it is caught. A nice play by Otto Lopez, ranging way into the outfield to make the catch.
Lopez has really played well for the Marlins. He's playing in his 95th game as second. He's a terrific defender. Vladdy has to go halfway, and if this ball drops, he's going to score, but it doesn't drop, and Lopez gets it back into the infield very quickly. Just makes the throw quick back into the infield. That cutoff man can handle it, and Vladdy's in between, obviously. It's not deep enough to tag, so you have to assume if it goes safely to the ground that he could score.
Nick Fortes, the catcher for the Marlins, keeps that one in front of him. It's 1-0 now on Davis Schneider, who is hitting in the 5 spot today, getting the start at second base. Not the kind of year that Davis Schneider was hoping for on the heels of what he did last year, but maybe he can get out of here with a good moment or two here on the last day of the season to feel a little bit better about things.
Yeah, the Blue Jays have hit 3 grand slams. Don Varsho has 2, and Vladdy's got 1. This would be a nice capper to a disappointing season for Schneider.
Fouled it off, 2-1. Guerrero's at third, Clase is at second, Horwitz at first. He went around 2-2. Actually, it was called a called strike, but either way, it's 2-2 on Schneider. Pretty good fastball changeup mix from Ryan Weathers. And a foul back. So 97 on the fastball, 88 on the changeup. Yarbrough continues to throw a warm-up pitch every now and again. And strike 3 called to get Schneider for out number 2.
Breaking ball on the outer half. He couldn't pull the trigger and makes a called third strike. You see Weathers just drops it on the outside corner, top of the zone. It's borderline strike for sure.
So now there are 2 outs. The bases remain loaded, and the hitter is Luis de los Santos, the third baseman. He'll line one to center, and the Blue Jays don't get anything here after loading him up with nobody out.
Download the app for the latest odds on today's baseball games and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Final day of the regular season. What a beautiful Sunday it is. It is 2-0 Marlins going to the top of the second inning. And here is Ryan Yarbrough. You see his combined numbers between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. They are significantly better as a Blue Jay. He has made 11 appearances, all of them in relief, a lot of multi-inning appearances, and has pitched extremely well.
He's allowed just 14 hits in 27 2/3 innings pitched. He's been very effective.
Here's Otto Lopez, again a former Blue Jay, got 10 at-bats over 2 years with the Jays in 2021, 22, and 22. Was in the organization for years, was DFA'd at the beginning of this year when they needed a 40-man spot, and now we've got a pitch comm issue. Tyler Heineman and Yarbrough talking with the home plate umpire Gabe Morales to see if they can figure out what's going on right now. Looks like they got it sorted out. And lined into right. Lopez continues to swing the bat well at the end of the season. He's hitting about .340 over his last 40 games.
Yeah, he's done a terrific job getting an extended opportunity to play. He had 2 hits in the game here on Friday night. Did not play yesterday, and now he's back in the lineup today. His best opportunity to play in the big leagues, and he's done a good job.
Now Griffin Conine, the young outfielder, in his rookie season hasn't been up all that long. To get a former teammate as some of the guys on the Blue Jays side. Davis Schneider knows him. Joey Loperfido knows him from their days together at Duke University. Schneider knew him in the Blue Jays system. Yarbrough drops down and he misses outside. He has been a nightmare for left-handed hitters this year. They are 16 for 130 against him this year, a 123 average. Line to right, and that will be caught by Stewart of Baroa. Lopez retreats to first.
Yeah, that's the breaking ball that gives lefty hitters so many problems, but Conine's had a good series. He swung the bat very well here. He stayed on that ball and hits it pretty well. You can see it's up and out over the outer half, not far enough off the plate, but Conine's made an impression here in this series. He has hit an opposite field home run.
The number 9 hitter is the catcher Nick Fortes, a .227 hitter, as he looks at a strike from Yarbrough. He has been the number 1 catcher for the Marlins for most of the year. Runner goes. Swing and a miss. Throw down by Heineman. The tag, and they got him. As Schneider got the tag down on the leg or the foot of Otto Lopez, and in the eyes of Ryan Addison, the second base umpire, he is out.
Yeah, and Schneider comes in front of the bag, and watch how he positions himself to take the throw in front of the bag and swipes at the base runner as he goes by and tags him on the leg. Sure enough, well before he got to second. He comes in front of the base and swiped Lopez on the right leg before he got to second base.
A good throw and maybe an even better tag. So 2 down and the base is empty. And it's a ball and 2 strikes on Fortes. And a ground ball up the middle. Schneider's got it. He'll bounce it across, but not in time. And Fortes aboard with an infield hit.
Well, he just hit it perfectly up the middle. Clement, the shortstop, couldn't get to it. Snyder got to it, but he was running away from the first base bag and couldn't get much on the throw. He had to throw on the run. Clement is shaded to pull, and Snyder gets it, but you can see he could never stop his momentum and plant his foot to make the throw.
So back to the top of the order for Jake Berger, DHing today. And again, if you weren't with us, the Marlins have him in the leadoff spot because he's got 29 home runs on the season, and they'd like to give him a chance at 30, which is a milestone he hit last year. He had 34 last year, split between the White Sox and the Marlins.
Yeah, he had played a lot of third base, and then the Marlins went out and made a trade for Connor Norby, and he's done all the playing at third base, so Berger will split his time between first and DH.
Chased it, and it's 1-2. As for his timeout.
Now, you made a great point about Yarbrough pitching much better back in the American League than he did with the Dodgers. He made 32 appearances with the Dodgers, a total of 67 in the third, but gave up 52 hits.
A ground ball to short. Clement has it, feeds Schneider with a bag at second to force the runner, and that'll be that. Blue Jays coming up, bottom 2.
But it was important for Schneider to let fans know he is aware of their displeasure. I hear you. We hear you, he said. The expectations they have of us, we share. Now, because of the way this season has played out, Schneider shared there have already been initial organizational meetings on how to proceed forward. The work begins in earnest tomorrow, and the manager assures fans the bullpen will be addressed and there will be more power in this Blue Jays lineup in 2025. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. Buck, I'm sure you would agree. John Schneider is an extremely accountable person, and you and I and Hazel and everybody else get a chance to visit with him every day before the game, and then many members of the media do it after games as well. And you know, he said some of the things that he said to Hazel that she is quoting there, he said earlier in the larger meeting in the office and so on, and he feels it. I mean, it eats at him that this team has had the kind of year that they've had. And as Hazel said, the meetings, they've already started because they've known for a while the season was going to end, but they will continue. He's going to stay in Toronto for a few days, and there will be top to bottom meetings before everybody disperses to their homes down.
Yeah, I mean, they've already started to evaluate what went wrong and how do you fix it.
Stuart Baroa is going to be aboard here to begin the bottom of the second. A line drive single to left. Schneider has said a few times that the kind of season they've had this year, and obviously none of them wanted to have this kind of a season though, but I guess he hasn't used the word force them, but it's kind of forced them to examine everything from top to bottom and to see what went wrong, why it went wrong, and how can it be fixed, because it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, man, I think he said something really interesting. He says, we are trying to figure out how to stay in the good streaks and avoid lengthy bad streaks and try to turn things around quicker and not really say, okay, well, we'll be better next week, and just trying to have the ability to get things turned around very, very quickly. And I think that's important. But, you know, the one thing, the bullpen is obvious concern. The lack of power is an obvious concern. And how are you going to bring it? You know, yeah, it's easy to say, yeah, we want power arms in the bullpen, but where are they and how are you going to attain them? And how do you identify them? I mean, there are the obvious ones that are free agents. A guy like Kirby Yates with Texas had a terrific season, a former Blue Jay that blew out his arm in spring training. But he has been terrific for the Rangers. There are guys around that you look at and say, boy, he'd be a nice fit. But when you have a bullpen that gives up a lot of contact, like the Blue Jays, you know, they're last in the American League in earned run average in the bullpen, last in strikeouts per 9, and last in home runs allowed. All of those things really come back, and they cost you games, and that's the problem.
Swing and a miss, and Joey Loperfido down on strikes for the first out. But it takes two, right? The free agent's got to want to come.
Absolutely.
So you might. You probably have to be the highest, or you got to identify the right guys, and then you got to be the highest offer to get them.
Right, and especially like early on, as we mentioned earlier, in the franchise history, you had to overpay to bring those guys here. And it's kind of the same situation. You know, free agents want to pick a place where they say, okay, I'm going there because I want to win. And the Blue Jays, you know, finishing last place, they're not close to that right now.
Baroa draws a throw. Tyler Heineman is the batter, with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on deck.
You mentioned Guerrero is on deck. I think he's the key to the entire offseason. I think when you sign Vladdy, if you sign Vladdy, then everything is kind of going to fall in place after that. But if you don't sign Vladdy, there's going to be a lot of questions about what is your direction? Where are you headed? And then that becomes a concern for pending free agents.
Heineman sends one to right center field. It will be caught by the center fielder. Myers making a nice running catch for the second out. It is a Junior J Sunday here for the last day of the season, so that young man's name is Grayson, and he just announced Vladimir Guerrero Jr. giving Tim Langton a little bit of help here this afternoon. Guerrero walked his first time up. Again, he is one hit away from 200 on the season. The 5 prior Blue Jays to do it in chronological order. Tony Fernandez did it in 1986. Both Paul Molitor and John Olerud did it in 1993. Shannon Stewart in 2001 and Vernon Wells in 2003. This one's going to get out of play off to the right.
Yeah, we've seen Vladdy the last couple of days. He fouled a lot of pitches off just a little bit late. And, you know, he's got the number in his mind. He had a personal countdown every time he got a hit. He would hold up how many fingers he was away from 200. He's hit well here at home all season long.
A big cut and a foul off, 1-2. And again, he'd love to hit a home run, but a single would do the trick here just to get him to 200. Nice to see he's getting his second plate appearance already here in the second inning. Bo Bichette perched up on the top step. He would love to see his buddy achieve this milestone. In the dirt, 2-2.
Luis Arraez of the Padres also enters today's play with 199 hits. there's an outside chance, and I wouldn't put it past them, that Shohei Ohtani could reach 200 hits. He's got 196, and he's had a phenomenal season, and a triple crown is within his sights with another terrific offensive day.
Just inside at the knees. Boy, Weathers wanted that one. You can see the way he snapped his glove at the return throw. And it is 3-2 now on Guerrero. We'll see if they will, excuse me, 2 outs in the inning. So Baroa will be running from first as Bride comes off the bag to play behind him. Guerrero stepping back in. And a ground ball to short. So Guerrero is going to be retired, hustling down the line, but out by his step. And it's the end of 2 here. 2-0 Marlins.
Weekend presented by TD. So if it's one thing I'm going to do right now, it's give a tip of the cap to all the fans this season. You know, whether it was home opener, whether it was Pride Night, Country Night, whatever the theme night was, the fans really showed up and had fun. So again, shout out to everyone at home watching, and shout out to everyone who showed up to the ballpark. And for one last time, Dan Buck, I'm going to throw the challenge out to you. After the game, after you sign off, meet me on the field. Okay, we're going to run the bases. If either of you can beat me, dinner is on me.
The rules apply. Buck starts at second, I start at first, you start at the plate, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll go with from there. That's the only way it's fair.
Yeah. 2-0 Marlins, top 3. This is Xavier Edwards, the shortstop. Singleton scored his first time up. It's a 1-hopper to short. Clement on to Horwitz, 1 down. So Ryan Yarbrough is not going to be the first decision, in all likelihood, the Blue Jays make in the offseason. They've got a lot of things to decide, but again, he has pitched extremely well since coming over. He is a multi-inning guy. You can use him as a spot starter, bulk guy. He's tough on lefties. He appears to be about as low maintenance a human being as you could find, and he's a free agent at the end of the year, and it'll be interesting. I know he's made a lot of friends and a lot of fans in that clubhouse.
I think there's a couple of things that play in the Blue Jays' favor as far as Yarbrough considering the Blue Jays. He lives in South Tampa, not far from Dunedin. He has pitched years in the American League East, so he understands what that's all about. And he likes his role, and he's very good at it. And there aren't many multi-inning relievers in baseball, but Yarbrough is unique in that regard, and I think he'd be a nice addition to this club. And
we mentioned this once briefly before, but if somebody's saying, well, what does it matter where he lives? They play here in Toronto. Well, it means it's about 7 or 8 more weeks with your family in your own home during spring training, as opposed to whether it's going to, you know, Fort Myers or
Arizona,
Flagstaff, or something like that. Right.
Absolutely.
So yeah, when you travel as much as a ball player does, 7 or 8 more, and he's got 2 young children, I think 3 and 1, I believe. So he's, you know, he's right in the thick of it. So to be able to be at home with family for another 7 or 8 weeks might mean well, definitely, obviously, would mean a lot to him, and it could be a tipping point.
And that's one of the many considerations you have in free agency. It's not just all about the money. It's about the atmosphere that you're used to, the clubhouse, the team, and the location. Obviously, Blue Jays know that this is a terrific place to play. I mean, look at the crowds that they've had, and it's been a disappointing season in the standings. And we all know what this place is like when they're contending and going to the postseason. It rocks. And Yarbrough knows that, having time with Tampa Bay.
2 down. Here's Jonah Bride, who had a 2-run single in the first. The ball that was hit with the infield drawn in, it went off the glove of a diving Ernie Clement and out into shallow center, and a couple of runs came in. Gives Bride 6 RBIs in the series. Just off the corner, and it's 1-1. So Yarbrough asking Gabe Morales if that missed outside, getting the confirmation.
He was a little more diplomatic than his catcher.
Yes, he was. Heineman's body language said everything you need to know. And a ground ball base hit. Boy, the Marlins are finding some holes today.
season at Boston Pizza, you can Boston size your bud starting from just $1 more. That's what buds do.
Final day of the regular season here at the Rogers Center, and the Blue Jays trying to end the season with a victory. Trailing 2-0 against the Marlins. Runner at first, 2 down for Jesus Sanchez, who struck out against Ryan Burr in the top of the first. Fastball in there, 0-1. And the curve misses outside. All kinds of craziness possible in the National League with Atlanta, the Mets, and Arizona all trying to compete for the final 2 playoff spots. And in all likelihood, the Mets and Braves will have to play tomorrow after they had 2 games postponed because of the hurricane last week. There are 8 different combinations and permutations depending on who wins each of those 3 games today. Right now, the Mets are up 1-0. The Braves are down 3-0. And Arizona's down 1-0. It's early in all games. All games started just after 3 Eastern today. It's possible that Arizona could actually be eliminated today, and the Braves and the Mets would both clinch, and then they wouldn't even need to play the doubleheader tomorrow. But in all likelihood, there is going to be baseball tomorrow to settle a playoff spot or 2. The 1-2.
Another interesting thing that's at stake is the seeding among the divisions. The Yankees have 93 wins. The Guardians have 92 wins, and both of those games are being delayed by rain right now.
Two and 2. The postseason gets underway Tuesday. And the curveball inside, 3-2. So Bride's going to be on the move. And again, Horwitz looking into the dugout to find out where they want him to play. And again, it's coming off the bag. Dane Myers would come up if the inning continues. There goes the runner, and it's fouled back by Sanchez. Sanchez is like Rafael Devers expressive in the box. You can always tell what he's thinking between pitches.
Yeah, Devers, he really makes a lot of different faces when he swings, and always you can see all of his expressions.
He's very disappointed in himself right now, I think. He is making Yarbrough work here to try to finish off the Marlins here, top 3. Popped up back of the plate, and it will find the seats.
Yeah, he hasn't had much success against lefties this season. Batting 165 in 100 at bats.
He has forced Yarbrough to throw 10 pitches already in this at bat. And strike 3 called to get him and finish off the Marlins here in the top of the 3rd.
Our players, staff, and the entire Blue Jays organization thank you, the best fans in baseball.
And if it's one thing I think we can all agree on, these are great baseball fans.
Oh, no question about it. They have been consistent in their loyalty to this team. And yeah, they get frustrated, just like the coaches and players get frustrated too when things don't go well. But you can never fault the fans for not being loyal. These are one of the greatest baseball fans in the sport.
Bottom of the third. And Jonathan Clase, who's only been a part of this for a couple of weeks, is going to lead it off. He had an infield hit his first time up. Clase, Horwitz, and Clement here in the bottom of the third with the Blue Jays down 2-0. Reaches for a changeup, and that's what Weathers tries to get you to do. Roll over on it as he gets Clase to ground out to short.
He's fun to watch, isn't he? Clase, the way he gets out of the box, whether he's hitting right-handed or left-handed, he is 100% effort every time he puts the bat on the ball. Going to be an interesting guy going forward.
And again, with Dalton Varsho, it being uncertain at this point whether he'll be 100% ready to go at the start of the season because of the shoulder surgery. You know, they've got a few internal options who can play center field. And by the time they know, Buck, if Varsho might be ready, you know, they'll have had to have made some decisions already if they're going to bring in somebody from the outside to bolster the center field spot, or do they feel comfortable with a Clase or a Loperfido or a Lucas or a Baroa or somebody like that to kind of handle some playing time until Varsho comes back. And again, we don't know if he's going to be delayed at all. Boy, a really good play by Edwards to get Horwitz 2 down as we check in with Hazel.
Dan, I caught up with Dalton Varsho yesterday. He told me he'll be wearing a sling for the next 5 to 6 weeks. And when it's removed, he's expected to work with a physical therapist in Dallas, where he had the surgery, and in Dunedin. The plan is for him to check in at the player development complex in January. He says he felt a little bit in limbo with that shoulder, but feels a lot of relief now that the surgery is past him. Guys.
Thank you. I get the same feeling from him about the sense of relief that it was done, not something that will linger. And again, hopefully it doesn't cost him a couple of weeks or whatever at the beginning of next year. But only time will tell on that front.
Well, you and I both know that he's going to get 100% effort into his rehab, just the same way he does in his baseball playing, and he'll give it the best shot to be ready. He'll do everything possible to be ready for spring training and the opening season.
Popped up by Clement. Lopez the catch, and the Blue Jays go in order in the bottom of the third. TD is helping fans feel closer to the game with exclusive Blue Jays perks. Get 10% back on concessions with an eligible TD credit card. Learn more at tdbluejaysfanoffer.td.com. Final day of the regular season, top of the fourth inning. Dan Schulman, Buck Martinez, Hazel May, and Dane Myers leading it off for the Marlins. Myers has flied out to center and has won at bat today. A fly ball to center, not deep. And Clase there to make the catch. Third inning of work for Yarbrough, who, if all goes well, could have 4, maybe even a little bit more than that here on the final day. The Blue Jays have some arms available and, in fact, made a roster move, and they can do this kind of thing at this time of year. Yariel Rodriguez was optioned down to the spring training complex, but it's just a paper move. And left-hander Brandon Eisert is here and on the roster just in case, you know, things went sideways and they needed another arm. So they should have plenty of arms to get through today's game, this being a bullpen day. John Schneider said all going well. He'd love to see Dylan Tate pitch again. Wanted to see him one more time. And he said they'd love to get Chad Green in there, but in a, you know, with a lead in a save type of situation. I don't think they want to throw Green out there if they're down a bunch today, but those are the guys along with Yarbrough that Schneider mentioned before the game today.
Yeah, and Dylan Tate, he's kind of in a similar situation, having had success in the AL East with Baltimore. And he has had some good outings for the Blue Jays since joining them. Hasn't pitched an awful lot.
Ground ball to second. Up with it, Davis Schneider. And on to Horwitz for the out as we check in again with Hazel.
Dan, Bo Bichette is flying to Arizona tomorrow ahead of his doctor's appointment on Tuesday. He's getting that splint replaced with one that allows him with a little more mobility. Now, it's going to be a few weeks until the bone heals and the pin in his middle finger is removed. He said he can't do much to stay in shape because sweat could potentially cause an infection. Bichette will find out more after Tuesday, but as you guys know, he's in pretty good spirits and looking forward to 2025.
Hazel, thank you. Hopefully a full recovery well in advance of spring training for Bo Bichette as Griffin Conine grounds out. And Yarbrough makes quick work of the Marlins in the top of the fourth. To sponsor these guys, the Screwballs from London, Ontario, a softball team who turned their once sour record into sweet lemonade. I just read what they write, but congratulations on your new Mike's Hard sponsorship. Looking good.
Good looking unis for a softball team. Very cool.
The Screwballs.
That's a great name, isn't it?
Yeah. And enjoying their Mike's Hard lemonade here at the ballpark. It is 2-0 Marlins. Bottom of the fourth, Davis Schneider will lead it off with Luis de los Santos and Stuart Baroa coming up behind him. Little upstairs, 1-1. Davis Schneider and Joey Loperfido, as we've mentioned, they knew each other from playing against each other when they were teenagers in New Jersey. Played against each other on all-star teams, travel ball teams, and then of course reunited again, if you will, when Loperfido came over in the trade. And the two of them only live about 5 minutes away from one another in New Jersey, and I believe there's a talk of a lot of golf for those two guys until it gets too cold in New Jersey.
Yeah, and I think that they're both kind of close to the Philly area. I asked Snyder if he's an Eagles fan, and he said not so much, but Joey's a big Eagles fan.
Joey's a big Eagles fan.
He goes to a lot of football games. I thought it was interesting. David Snyder told me, I go to a lot of tailgate parties, but I don't go to the games.
Yeah, everybody's scattering after today. And the difference is, you know, when you have a season like last year or the year before, and I know they didn't make the playoffs in 21, but it went right down to the final day. Nobody makes plans. You assume the baseball will continue the next day and the next day. Swing and a miss by Schneider. But they've all had time. It's just different right now. It's been like it's not a sudden ending to the season. It's a much slower, gradual, prolonged ending to the season. But they're all scattering. A lot of guys have their cars here, and this, people might find this surprising. A lot of guys are getting in their car tonight, crossing the border, sleeping somewhere, and getting home tomorrow or wherever they live. And you know, the guys with kids, and their wives are back home because the kids are in school, so they go home in August. And for many of them, they haven't seen their families in about 6 weeks. But this group will all scatter over the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, and a lot of the families were in Texas when the Blue Jays had an off day down in Irving, Texas, and a lot of families were there, and they went home from that road trip. But I know Snyder is getting in his truck and driving home to New Jersey after this game, and Ernie Clement's going to drive to Rochester after the game.
Ernie might have the shortest commute on this team, I think. Inside, 3-1 on Luis de los Santos.
It's not unlike the end of a hockey season when the players start talking about golf, because baseball players will start talking about golf now, especially the people that live in the South.
A number of the players have places, whether it's a primary home or maybe in some cases a secondary place, down in the Tampa, Clearwater, Dunedin area. So a lot of them are at the complex a little bit or a lot, and even the guys who don't live down there, some of them might go in and check in for a week here, a week there. The team encouraging players to use the facilities more and more over the course of the winter as De Los Santos strikes out.
Well, we talk about Ryan Yarbrough down in South Tampa, and of course everybody knows Florida got hit by a devastating hurricane this past week, and Ryan Yarbrough and John Lannon, the mental skills coach, they both live in the same area in South Tampa, and they didn't experience any damage, but a lot of our family and friends have, and it's really a sad time. From the Florida coast all the way up the Panhandle into Georgia, into North Carolina, a lot of people have been hit hard by this hurricane, and it was a tough time for everybody.
Stuart Baroa is the batter. Had a base hit to left his first time up. One of 2 hits the Blue Jays have so far.
You know, that's another thing we talk about. We talked about the lack of power, but you know what? They brought in some extra hitting coaches. Now they're basically 4 hitting coaches, and you know they're going to have to evaluate what went wrong in the hitting because the team has underperformed as a unit offensively. And yeah, Springer's had a down season. You know, Vlad is the only guy that can really hold his head up very, very high given his season. You know, some of the kids have had extended at bats and done a good job, but they're going to have to look at that program as well and say, okay, what went wrong? Why didn't we see growth and improvement from a lot of these guys?
Dylan Tate is up in the bullpen, so that could be it for Ryan Yarbrough. He has given them 3 innings, but perhaps Tate coming in for the 5th. Strike 3 called to get a Baroa, and Ryan Weathers just struck out the side. End of 4, 2-0 Marlins.
Viewing the Jays from this vantage point, of course, if you want to learn more about this Cornerfield Club and the memberships, you can go to bluejays.com/cornerclub. Back to you guys in the booth.
Emily, thank you. A cool spot already, and looks like it'll be even more interesting heading into next year. Great shot of first base, right field. Top of the 5th inning, Ryan Yarbrough is indeed back on the mound. Tate is throwing every now and again as this inning begins. But Yarbrough out to at least begin the inning as he faces Nick Fortes, the catcher. And paints one over the outside corner for a called strike. Arizona just put up 6 in the bottom of the 4th. They lead San Diego 6-1. The Mets are leading their game 3-0 over Milwaukee, and Atlanta is trailing in its game. So there's a chance of all kinds of chaos if those 3 results all hold up. All 3 teams are in a virtual tie. Arizona would be done, and again the Mets and Braves would have to play a couple of games tomorrow to figure out which 2 of the 3 teams would go to the playoffs.
Yeah, Arizona would be eliminated, as you mentioned, with a loss and a Mets win.
A liner to left, and it'll be caught by Loperfido.
But yeah, the hurricane affected the Braves and Mets. They were scheduled to play a series down in Atlanta, and they canceled the last 2 games. That's what forced the scheduling of a doubleheader on Monday.
And then, of course, if there's baseball tomorrow, one or both of those teams would, whoever makes it, would then have to go start the playoffs the very next day. Good change up there, and it's fouled off by Berger. 0-1.
Yeah, and if they have to play both of them, they would play 8 games in 7 days.
In a bunch of different cities, too.
But they wouldn't mind.
No,
as long as they get,
yeah, as long as you get another game the next day, you don't mind anything. Outside, 2 balls and a strike. back to a good changeup again, right at the bottom of the zone. Fouled off, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, after getting 12 extra base hits in the first 2 games, Miami's been held to 6 hits, and they've all been singles. But the Blue Jays haven't been able to figure out Ryan Weathers, the lefty for the Marlins. No runs on 2 hits so far.
Swing and a miss. Got him with a fastball up at the top of the zone. 2 down.
Ryan Yarbrough can really pitch. He understands the art of pitching for sure, and in many regards he's a lot like Chris Bassett, understanding that he's never going to be a guy that can make mistakes with location because he throws 87, 88 with his fastball. Of course, Bassett throws harder, but he has to locate his pitches similarly to Ryan Yarbrough.
Two down, and the base is empty for Xavier Edwards, who is 1 for 2. Lined into right, a 2-out base hit for Edwards, his 2nd hit of the ball game. Was just looking, Buck, at Yarbrough's fastball velocity by season, and it is virtually unchanged over the last 4 years, from somewhere between 86 and 87 every single year. This is going to be all for him, and he's done a nice job. Don't know if he will be back with the Blue Jays. Hopefully there's mutual interest. We'll see how that unfolds in the off season. But I think John Schneider very appreciative. Looked like he just had some nice words to say to Yarbrough as he takes the ball from him. The tall lefty will make his way off the mound, and Dylan Tate is on his way in. Dylan Tate picked up towards the end of the season, the former Baltimore Oriole. This is his 4th appearance as a Blue Jay. And another guy that the Blue Jays are taking a good look at to see if he can offer some value out of the bullpen next year. Had an arm injury, did not pitch at all in the major leagues last year, not once. And his velocity is not back to where it was a couple of years ago before the injury. You never know, maybe another off season. That 2nd year since the injury will help. But as we mentioned, he's a guy who in the past pitched some pretty high leverage innings in the American League East, and that counts for something.
Yeah, in 2022 he was terrific. Made a career high 67 appearances and allowed just 57 hits in 73 2/3 innings. We have seen a lot of Dylan Tate in the past, and when he is healthy, he's pretty effective. And he had 60 strikeouts in that season in 2022 for Baltimore.
And a good breaking ball as he gets Connor Norby to chase, and Tate strikes him out to retire the side. Let's get an update now with Jamie Campbell.
Tonight at midnight, 10 lives will change forever when Jays Care draws its winners for one of the biggest jackpots in MLB history. The jackpot is already over $1.5 million and has been rapidly climbing all day. What's even better is if you score yourself some add-on tickets, you could also win a pair of Taylor Swift tickets or a trip for 4 to Disney World. All these prizes will be drawn in just a few hours, so you can head to bluejays.com/5050 right now to get your tickets from anywhere in Ontario or Nova Scotia. Guys.
Emily, thank you. That is generating all kinds of excitement. Over 1.5 million in the Jays Care. The last prize, the split the pot prize here to win the regular season. Joey Loperfido, Tyler Heineman, and then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. due up in the bottom of the 5th. Loperfido struck out in his first at bat. Guerrero a walk and a ground out so far today. Still looking for hit number 200. Perfito pops it up in foul territory. It is playable and caught by Fortes. One down.
Brian Weathers gave up a first inning infield single to Jonathan Clase, a leadoff single to Barua in the second, and that's it. He struck out the side in the fourth inning. He has 5 strikeouts so far. He spent a lot of time on the injured list this season, and this is by far his best outing since he has been back. It's just his 3rd outing since coming off the IL, all 3 of them here in September.
Tyler Heineman's second look at him. Hit a fly ball to center his first time up, and he's done the same thing here. And to get it is Myers, and quickly 2 down here in the bottom of the 5th, and that will bring Guerrero up to the plate for the 3rd time today. Think he's feeling it at all? Think he's pressing a little bit?
I do. I think that's why he's been late on some pitches, and we've seen some very, very hard swings from him today. I think he's feeling it a bit. And there's another pitch that he's a little bit late on. What a season he has had.
Especially given the way April went to finish with these kinds of numbers. 0-2. Yeah, you are not alone.
Yeah, we all feel the same way. There have only been 7 300 hitters this season. Yanner Diaz of the Astros starts play today hitting .299.
A lot harder to hit 300 than it used to be.
You know, it is harder, I'll grant you that, but I think a lot of it has to do with the hitters' approaches, and they're, you know, they don't look down on strikeouts. They're all trying to hit home runs, take big swings with 2 strikes, and that's why there aren't as many 300 hitters.
And Weathers got Guerrero to chase, so Vladdy down on strikes. Still looking for number 200 as the 5th inning comes to a close here at the Rogers Center. As the presenting sponsor of the Blue Jays Fan Appreciation Weekend, TD wants to thank each and every fan, no matter where you're cheering from. TD, ready for Blue Jays fans, ready for you. Dylan Tate back on the mound for the Blue Jays as this ball game moves to the top of the 6th. It is 2-0 for the Marlins, and both runs scored in the first, and both were driven in by the man at the plate right now, Jonah Bride. Up high, 3-0. And a 4-pitch walk to Bride. Now Jesus Sanchez, the right fielder, who has struck out in each of his 2 at-bats.
Once against Ryan Burr, once against Ryan Yarbrough. So his 3rd pitcher that he has seen so far.
And he's popped one way up on the left side of the infield. De Los Santos in fair territory as we wait for the third base ump to signal. Makes the catch, and that pop-up is out number 1. Dane Myers 0 for 2, a couple of fly balls to center. Brett DeGus is going to get some work today. And I'm sure he is grateful, Buck. He has made just one appearance as a Blue Jay, and it did not go well. Gave up 4 runs in an inning back on Friday, so I'm sure he is very happy to be getting another inning here before the season comes to a close.
And you know the manager and the pitching coach are aware of that, saying, you know what, we got to have some innings from our bullpen with using an opener today, so why not get DeGus back on the mound so he can erase the memory of that first outing.
Outside, 3-2. Lopez on deck. Horwitz holding on Bride, who is not running, and it's lined and off the glove of Schneider into shallow center, and everybody is safe.
Boy, the defense has just had some very, very marginal plays today, tough ones, but plays that we have seen them make all season long. And this is a line drive. Snyder gets a piece of it. In fact, he thought he caught it because he went into his glove to find the baseball, but it's just off the end of his glove and goes out into right field.
It has scored a base hit for Myers, and it's going to bring Pete Walker out of the dugout.
The Y has hundreds of programs and services. Find your local Y and let your potential shine.
A beautiful Sunday afternoon here on the 29th of September, last day of the regular season. Hopefully the hot stove is piping hot this winter, Buck. Hopefully things get going. Last year it wasn't so hot. It took a while around the sport to get going. Hopefully it's a little more active this year, and hopefully the Blue Jays are a big part of it.
And you know what? It's kind of a thin free agent market. Just a few premium players available.
Fair ball. And it'll hit the short wall and bounce out into shallow left, and a run will come in to score. That'll be an RBI double for Otto Lopez. Runners at second and third, and it's 3-0.
Yeah, Lopez has a couple of hits this afternoon, and that ball just inside the third base bag, and then hit that short wall down the left field line and bounced back towards shortstop. That breaking ball hangs inside and stays up about belt high, and he hammers it down into the corner. Lopez picks up his 39th RBI.
Infield in now for the Blue Jays with runners at second and third and 1 out. Foul back and 1-1. Griffin Conine is 0 for 2, lined out to right, grounded out to third. Fouls another one off, 1-2.
Of course, the Blue Jays, they need to save these runs. They haven't been able to figure out Ryan Weathers at all. Just 2 hits against him.
A block by Heineman. gets the call. Boy, it looked inside, but it goes Tate's way for the second out.
You know, velocity's up a little bit for Dylan Tate today. You know, he hasn't pitched an awful lot lately, but boy, he gets a generous call right there. That two-seamer looked like it missed well off the plate inside.
And that's going to be all for Dylan Tate, his fourth and final appearance of this season as a Blue Jay, as he is taken out, and Brett DeGuss will be coming in. Well, again, it could be a crazy Monday in the National League, and it really looks like there will be baseball tomorrow. If the Diamondbacks win today, the Mets and Braves have to play tomorrow, and you can see the first game of that doubleheader at 1 o'clock Eastern time here on Sportsnet. Brett DeGuss, claimed on waivers a couple of weeks ago from the Marlins, is into the game. I am trying to figure out on the fly the combinations and permutations, Buck, and right now Arizona's winning, the Mets are winning, and the Braves are losing. If that all holds up, then there will be 2 games tomorrow between the Mets and the Braves. If the Mets and Braves split the 2 games, they both get in and Arizona's eliminated.
Right.
If somebody sweeps the doubleheader, that team gets in, Arizona gets a spot, and whoever got swept doesn't get in. It's a bit wild. Does not get the call. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Nick Fortes.
Yeah, I think initially when the wild card was introduced, I wasn't a big fan, but the more I see it in play, I think it's great. It keeps a lot of teams involved in the postseason, deep into the season, and it's good for fan bases all over. And John Schneider was asked about that. He said, what kind of team do you want to see the Blue Jays build? He said, a team that wins the East. He said, I want to win the East. He said, that's what we should do, and that's what everybody should strive for, is winning your division.
He is fully aware that, of course, you can get in and get in any way you can, like the Diamondbacks last year, and do great, but his mindset is to aim higher than that, is to compete for a division championship.
But you know what, and oftentimes a wild card is a team that goes to the World Series because they're the hottest team. They have to play right to the end to get in.
Two balls, 2 strikes to count on Fortes. And a bouncer towards third, and the tag applied by De Los Santos to retire the side. The Marlins get 1 and lead 3-0.
If they haven't hit their stride, Leo Menace for me opened up a lot of eyes this year with his play. Will Wagner is the big unknown. He had knee surgery. He only has 82 major league at-bats. But from what I saw, he's going to have an upper hand on playing second base going into spring training next year.
Would you say, and any of them could be traded, so if Wagner's not traded, he's on the team?
I believe so.
If Clement's not traded, he's on the team?
Yes.
If Horwitz is not traded, he's on the team?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with those 3. Some guys, and who knows with Joey Loperfido and with David Schneider, do they have a chance to come in and win a job? Will there be open competition in the spring? But again, some guys may have to go back to Buffalo and earn their way back to the big leagues.
Exactly. And, you know, like we said earlier, you just don't know what the offseason is going to bring as far as new faces onto the 40-man roster.
Jonathan Clase was not on that graphic because he's only been here a little while, and there's only so many guys you can fit on a graphic. But Jonathan Clase, you know, again, is very interesting in his own right. Younger, he might be younger than everybody on that graphic. I think he's just 22 years old, and we talked about it, all kinds of skills, but very raw in some areas. And you know, perhaps some more seasoning at AAA with Buffalo might be the best thing for him, but you never know. He's liable to come into spring training and just go gangbusters.
Yeah, if he tears it up in spring training, and certainly with the uncertainty of Dalton Varsho, he'll probably make the team. But he had his first big league home run here against the Red Sox.
Boy, somehow he corkscrewed himself around right there, but somehow checked the swing.
And Clase is not going to turn 23 until late May next year. So he'll start the season as a 22-year-old.
And then there's the great unknown, and one of the real, and there have been, many things that went wrong this year. And this next one is not the organization's fault, but wouldn't it have been great to see Aurelvis Martinez get half a season of Major League time so that the front office and the coaching staff could learn more about him? But due to the PED suspension, that didn't happen. It has hindered his development, and it has hindered their ability to know what they have in him.
No question. That's a big disappointment because he had been called up from the minors. He was swinging the bat great. Had some success in limited at bats, and he just was 1 for 3.
Clase lifts a fly ball to deep left center, but it is caught on the edge of the track by Conine.
So without knowing anything that's going to happen this winter, you would assume that he will start in Buffalo.
Right.
Because he hasn't played. And had he played a full season, whether it was at Buffalo or up here in the big leagues, certainly then you could say, okay, well, maybe he can compete at third. Maybe he can compete at second. But right now, it's a big question mark.
And he possesses one thing that this team really lacks, and that is power.
Yeah. He's got a lot of pop in that bat. And he's just 22. He'll turn 23 in November. But when you look at his season in Buffalo, he was really starting to come on, and he is almost 4.5 years younger than the average player in AAA, still putting up big numbers. 17 homers and 49 ribbies.
Spencer Horwitz pops one up, and the center fielder comes in. Myers to make the catch, 2 down, as we bring in Hazel May again.
Dan, Ernie Clement is pretty pleased with how he was able to navigate through a full major league season. I think in my minor league career, I only ever played 100 games in a year. I never made it through a full big league season without getting optioned or DFA'd. He said just learning what it takes to play every day is the most valuable thing he could have taken away from this season. Dan.
Thank you, Hazel. A hot shot down to third, picked nicely by Connor Norby, and that will retire Clement, who, by the way, appearing in his 139th game of the season here today.
Fans, get in on the action early. 2025 quarter season ticket memberships are on sale now. Get your seats for 20 Blue Jays games next season, plus save 15% compared to single game tickets. To get yours today, visit bluejays.com/quarter-seasons.
Emily, thank you, and thank you for all of your contributions to our telecast here this season. As we go to the top of the 7th, it is 3-0 Marlins. Brett DeGuss is back on the mound. And before we get too close to the end, Buck, and I know you share this, thank you to the great people that we get to work with each and every day, whether it's the crew, the home crew or the road crew. There is some overlap. Some people do both, but some of the spots are separate, as this one has popped up for Horwitz. We are led, of course, by Doug Walton, our producer, Troy Clara, our director. They do the bulk of the games, but we have other very talented, fine people as part of the crew. Scott Carson has been sitting in the booth with us forever and ever and ever, and just everybody, and we got a chance to spend some time with them. We had kind of a little informal end-of-year get-together last night, and you and I are just so proud to be part of a crew that works so hard.
100%. I agree with you. And, you know, you and I have been doing this a long time, and this particular group has been terrific in their effort and their attitude, the way they come prepared to work every single day. And yeah, sometimes it gets to be a grind, but they are ready to give you 100% every single day. It's a terrific group.
Xavier Edwards with a fly ball to left. Another play for Loper Fido.
You know, we have the easy part of this broadcast. We get to sit and watch the games and talk about it, and they have to prepare, and they have to get the right camera shots to put the graphics together, and they help us out so much. And like I say, we get the easy lifting for sure, and they do all the hard work and make us look good every single day.
And boy, do they love baseball.
Yes, they do.
Boy, do they love talking about baseball and Blue Jays baseball, and who should play here and what the batting order should be and who's going to be back next year. And that's everybody's invested.
They live and die with every pitch, that's for sure.
2 down here, top 7. Connor Norby, the batter.
And I would like to thank you, Dan, for another great season. We seem to think a lot alike. A lot of times we're finishing each other's sentences and
I know,
talking a lot of baseball.
You as well. It's a privilege. You were the first guy I worked with on my first game in 1995, and whoever could have imagined that we're sitting here side by side again. But what do you say we do it again next year?
That sounds good to me.
Let's do it. Ground ball to third, and a much better second outing in a Blue Jay uniform for right-hander Brett DeGuss. Net is the place to be.
George is trying to inspire some offense wearing a home run jacket. I'm keeping it warm for somebody. No runs on 2 hits through 6 innings.
Clase has an infield hit. Stewart of Baroa had a line drive single, and that is it. It'll be Davis Schneider, Luis de los Santos, and Stewart of Baroa. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to get up again at least one more time, but he's still looking for that 200th hit. Good changeup there from Weathers, and it's 1-1.
Luis Rise, who went into the game today with 199, he has a double, so he has reached 200 hit, and he's going to lead the league in hitting again. 3 straight years with 3 different teams. How about that?
Twins, Marlins, Padres. Lake Bacher is up in the pen for the Marlins. Schneider pops it up, and it'll get just over the netting out of play. 3-2. Luis de los Santos has gotten a little bit of an opportunity to play in the major leagues. He had never appeared in the majors before this year. A guy who was signed by the Blue Jays when he was 16. He's 26 now. So there's a liner to third, but it is caught by Norby, and Schneider is retired, so he is now 0 for 3. But for De Los Santos, I don't know that he or anybody could have predicted that he would get some major league time this year, but given the injuries and not being in contention and the trade's a big part of it, opening up some things, and who knows what the future holds for him. But regardless of what it holds, he's had the memories of getting a few weeks in the big leagues.
Yes, he has, and for De Los Santos, he is playing in his 13th big league game, and it's been a long road for him. He broke his hand earlier this season in the minors, so he didn't get to play an awful lot.
If you told me, whatever, 10 years from now he'd be a coach, I'd believe that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I mean, the organization loves him. He's been a terrific teammate. He's done a great job of accepting his roles and moving up the organization from time to time. I mean, literally, when Casey Candel, the AAA manager, told him that he was going to the big leagues, they both cried.
10 years in the minors is a long time for a guy to, keep chasing his dream. And how about that? A fair ball down the left field line and into the corner. And De Los Santos is into second base. That is his 5th major league hit, his 2nd major league double. And boy, those guys like that because they like him.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. He's out here every single day working hard on his defensive skills, always taking batting practice, always trying to get better. And he hits a line drive past the third baseman all the way down into the corner. And his other double went to the right field corner. He's got some interesting skills. He'll look forward to playing in winter ball.
So a double for De Los Santos, and the end of the afternoon for Ryan Weathers.
Blue Jays fans, wear your City Connect colors proudly. The J Shop is your stop for all things City Connect, jerseys, hats, jackets, and more. Plus, check out the night mode transformations at Rogers Center J Shop locations. You can visit the J Shop to get your City Connect merch today.
Lake Bacher is the new pitcher for the Marlins. Stuart Baroa is going to turn around and bat for the left side. He's 1 for 2 so far today. Baroa, an interesting guy. We haven't talked a lot about him today. 25 years of age, had a really nice season at Buffalo. Was up earlier, didn't play much. Up again in September. A little bit of a chance here and there. This is just his 42nd plate appearance of the season at the big league level. He had a nice year at AAA, 281, stole 34 bases, had an OPS of 825, but kind of tough to get a feel where he fits in going forward.
Yeah, he's got a nice skill set. He's a very good center fielder. He's a switch hitter, and he can do a lot of things, especially with his speed.
If you look at just outfielders, and we've talked about Loperfido, Clase, Baroa, there's Nathan Lucas, there's Alan Rodin, who is definitely a name to keep an eye on at some point next year. Had a great year in the minors this year. There's more depth, there are more options. It's just a question of one or two kind of breaks away from the pack. It really forces the Blue Jays to have them on the team.
Yeah, Alan Rodin at 314 in 71 games in AAA. Had 9 homers and 48 ribbies.
This is dropping a base hit for Baroa. De Los Santos to third.
Baroa does a pretty good job of putting the bat on the ball, and he does a nice job there. Stays in it and extends all the way through the hit zone. Watch the extension he gets with that bottom hand, and he's able to hit it off the end of the bat. Drops it in front of Sanchez in right.
So runners on the corners with 1 out for Joey Loperfido, who's 0 for 2. Baroa not going, and Loperfido takes outside, ball 1. Ball 2. A strike on the corner, 2-1. Fastball in there, 2-2. De Los Santos at third, Baroa at first. And that's low, a full count. So now Gil Kim, who is coaching at first, over to talk to Baroa. We'll see if they start him. Tyler Heineman is on deck. If it gets further than that, Guerrero would come up here in the 7th. Baroa is running, and it's fouled back by Loperfido.
Well, he's exciting. He gets going full speed after one step, and he had a lot of things going his direction. Somebody had a pretty good time down there, a birthday party or something.
If Emily's a part of that, we don't have some cake.
Yeah.
Baroa not going this time, and it's grounded to the right side and bobbled, and a good recovery by Lopez to get the out at first, but a run will score as De Los Santos is in, and it's 3-1.
Out of Lopez, he was thinking about 2. When he turns to fire to second, he drops the ball, but you make a great point. He did have a very quick recovery. He's able to record the out. He turns his body to throw to second base, dropped the ball, picked it up quickly in time to get Loperfido.
So a ground out and an RBI for Loperfido, 3-1, and the batter is Tyler Heineman. 0 for 2 on a couple of fly balls to center. The catcher spot will be an interesting one. Who they decide to partner with Alejandro Kirk. Are they looking for a guy to catch half the time? Or John Schneider was asked about it today, and he said ideally more than once or twice a week. They don't want to throw Kirk out there 125 games a week.
Right. He talked about it as being a complement or a tandem.
Yeah.
You get a left-handed hitting catcher ideally, and split time with Alejandro. I think everybody has been very pleased with the way Alejandro played with the extra workload after Danny Jansen was traded. He's swinging the bat really well at the end of the season. His throwing has improved dramatically, and I think his leadership skills behind the plate have improved as well. But I think they need to go outside the organization and find a catching mate. And I know Pete Walker, he puts a lot of stock into who is back there behind the plate to help his pitchers work through a ball game, and they'd like to have some sort of veteran catcher that's got major league experience come in here and split the time with Alejandro.
And strike 3 called to get Heineman and end the inning. The Blue Jays get 1, now trail 3-1 at the end of 7, and it is time for a Blue Jays Central update with Jamie, Joe, and Madison.
Planning for next year can be a chore, but hey, let the Blue Jays help. 2025 season ticket memberships are on sale now, so you can be at the ballpark for all of 2025. Experience a transformed ballpark with seats in the action and receive elevated service with customizable benefits. To become a member, visit bluejays.com/buy season tickets. Guys.
Emily, thank you. On to the top of the 8th inning here at the ballpark. 3-1, the Marlins leading the Blue Jays, and just promoted to the roster today. We told you Yariel Rodriguez, in what is really a paper move, is option to the spring training complex. He's still here, last day of the season and so on, but they wanted to get another fresh arm. So Brandon Eisert is going to make his 3rd appearance of the season for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, he pitched 1 game in June, 1 game in July. He's kind of been a back and forth guy. When the bullpen had been overused, they would bring him up to pitch a couple of situations.
At Buffalo this year, Eisert made 42 appearances, had a .386 ERA, and struck out 66 in 53 2/3 innings. Jonah Bride, the batter, he's had a good day, 2 for 2 with a walk. He's had a good series. 5 for 10 with a couple of home runs and 6 runs driven in the series. Chased one up high, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, Jonah Bride's finishing up very strong this season. And you think about what he's done. He had a career high 3 hits on Tuesday in Minnesota, and then homered in consecutive games for the first time against Atlanta and Minnesota. And came in here and had his first multi-home run game on Friday night.
Fouled back, kind of unhappy with himself that he couldn't squeeze it. It's still 2-2. And that's high, a full count. Ooh, a wicked hop. Horwitz keeps it in front of him and feeds Eisert to the bag for the out.
Boy, indeed, it was a wicked hop. Jonah Bride has had 4 good plate appearances today. Another ball right on the nose, and Spencer gets in front of it, and he just kind of uses his body to block it, and it stays close to him, close enough so he can flip to Isert covering the bank. Isert gets a good break as Spencer blocked it, knocked it down, and flips to the pitcher for the out.
Now Jesus Sanchez, who is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. You can see how for a left-handed batter where that ball's coming from Isert can be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, and he has the ability to strike people out. You talked about his season at Buffalo. He had a good number of strikeouts, and it's that kind of high three-quarter delivery that can give lefty hitters fits.
Lefties hit just 198 against him at AAA this year, 16 for 81. He struck out 27 of the 81 from the left side. Breaking ball fouled off, 2-2.
Yeah, he left that one on the inside part of the plate. He throws that same pitch and gets it away from him. He'll strike out Sanchez.
And he got him. Isert to get Sanchez for the second out. There's Junior J warming up in the bullpen just in case his services are needed.
Yeah, just in case. He's got a nice delivery.
He does.
Said, I'm next, Dad. I'm next.
Two down. Dane Myers, the batter. And a strike at the knees, 0-1. Schneider's got it, and from shallow right, he will throw Myers out. A nice inning for Isert. And perhaps the last at bat of the season for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is coming up. You're aware by now of the club that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is trying to join. Here are the 5 of them, led by Vernon Wells, the franchise record holder with 215 hits. He also was the last Blue Jay to get 200 hits in a season 21 years ago. This could be the last at bat of the season right now for Guerrero. And many are standing right now. They realize it could be his last at bat. They realize the milestone. And it may be more than anything, Buck, they're applauding the season he's had.
I think that's part of it, too. And I understand it's been a terrific season for Vladdy. They're acknowledging that.
Big cut and a foul off, 1-1. That guy about as interested as anybody in this ballpark, I would imagine, given how long they had been good friends. Bounced in by Bacher, and it's 2-1. More than anything, you just want Bacher to throw some pitches close enough to the zone that Vladdy's swinging. A walk is not what Vladdy is thinking about right now. 3-1, not close. They're booing here. He's not trying to walk him, obviously, but the fans understand this. They want to see Vladdy swing the bat. Swung on and missed. 3-2. And it's on his mind. It's human nature.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it.
ball 4. So, Blue Jays, it's up to the other 80 to try to get Vladdy up again in this game. Try to give him another shot.
Yeah, they walked twice today, and now
that's going to be it.
Game.
Oh, wow. I think more than anything, more than the milestone, John Schneider wants to get him the ovation. And you know what? The feeling is mutual between him and the fans.
Yeah, it sure is.
And I'm sure Vladdy knew, I'm sure John Schneider said to him before this at bat, hey, one way or another, you're coming out. So, unfortunately, he doesn't get to 200, but that shouldn't take anything away from the quality of the season he's had.
It's been a tremendous season. There's no doubt about it. One of the best the franchise has seen.
Nathan Lucas is in to run for Guerrero, and Clase trying to drop a bunt down, fouls it off. If you look at Guerrero's numbers and stack them up against the other players in the majors, without question he has been one of the 5 or 6 best hitters in the majors this year. That'll get you a hug from a guy who's known you a long time.
Yeah, when you look at it, there are only 7 hitters that have hit 300 this season, and Vladdy will end up with the 2nd highest average to Bobby Witt Jr. Aaron Judge did not play today. Vladdy with 199 hits, also 2nd in American League to Bobby Witt Jr. A tremendous season. Vladdy ended up with 44 doubles. And see, he's still got a smile on his face. Yep, you can't diminish what he has done.
OPS 6th in the majors, and you're very familiar with the first 5. Judge, Ohtani, Soto, Bobby Witt Jr., Yordan Alvarez, the only guys with a better OPS this year than Guerrero. Two and 2, the count on Clase. In the dirt, nice block there by Fortes. Now a full count. He loves to play. He just loves to be a baseball player. He loves to be a teammate.
He sure does, and it has been a dramatic turnaround for him in that regard. He understands his role on his team now, and that's to be a leader. And when you're a leader, you do everything right, and he has had that kind of season.
And now the attention will quickly turn to the offseason and whether or not there's a deal forthcoming between him and the Blue Jays. There will be a lot of big stories around this team heading into the offseason, but I can't think of one that'll be bigger than that.
Now, I think it's the biggest decision in franchise history to get him signed and make sure he's a Blue Jays player for a long time. And not many players come through the organization the type of player that Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is, and he's just 25 years old.
Spencer Horwitz 0 for 2 with a walk today. Pops it up back of third, and Norby into foul territory to make the catch for the 2nd out.
You know, we had talked about comparing Ohtani, Judge, and Vladdy Guerrero yesterday, and you know, Judge is now 32 years old. He didn't play his rookie season until he was 25. Vladdy's 25 this year and been an all-star 4 times already.
And a pitching change here coming for the Marlins with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Anthony Bender coming in. This is after he came out of the game. This is just moments ago, after he did not come up with his 200th hit. on the last day of the regular season for a team that is going home after today, and that's worth something too. The vibes are good, and we've talked about it. He's always had fun, but boy, I think he's got the perfect balance right now between fun and serious, kid and leader, and it's all coming with the production.
Yeah, it sure has. I mean, his 25th, age 25 season has been terrific, and he's just hitting his prime. Now, there's more to come from Vladimir Guerrero Jr., that's for sure.
Anthony Bender into the game for the Marlins, his 59th appearance of the season. 3-1 Miami. Lucas the runner at first, 2 down. The batter is Ernie Clement, 0 for 3. And it looks like maybe one way or another, although Isert could come back out, but if it's not Isert, it'll be Chad Green, top 9. That's the last thing you want to do on the last day of the season.
Looks like he hit him on the knee, and just on the right knee, that back knee. Then throws that sinking fastball. It's inside, and watch his back knee right off the kneecap.
Ernie Clement is arbitration eligible for the first time in his career, so he'll be getting I would think, a fairly sizable raise, given that he's reached arbitration. The player has more rights than, and he's had a good year. He's one of a number of Blue Jays eligible for arbitration: Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Genesis Cabrera, Eric Swanson, Jordan Romano, among others, and as of now, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. But yeah,
his arbitration numbers are a little bit different than the rest of the players.
Yeah, I think Vladdy's in line for a raise one way or another. But good for a guy like Ernie, you know, at the other end of the pay scale, a guy who has grinded for playing time for a few years, 28 years old, but has had a good season at a very opportune time for him.
Yeah, the perception is when you see a major league player, you think they all make millions and millions of dollars. That's not always the case. A lot of these guys are making well under $1 million, especially the young players. Still a lot of money, don't get me wrong.
There goes the runner, and it is strike 3 called on Clement to end the inning. End of 8th, 3-1 Marlins.
Treatment initially when he got back to the dugout, but then you can see the celebration is on. And you and I both talked to him today about that home run. He was thrilled to get his first big league home run. It's been a long journey for him to make it to the big leagues, but he's had nothing but a positive impression on the fans, the players, and the coaching staff.
Top of the 9th inning, Isert is back on the mound, so Green was up in case the Blue Jays had at least come back to tie, but with them still trailing, Isert is back out to at least begin his 2nd inning of work. And Otto Lopez is the batter. 2 for 3 today. He has driven in a run. Got 4 hits in 7 at-bats in the series. And again, a guy who was DFA'd by the Blue Jays at the beginning of the year when they signed Yariel Rodriguez to make room on the 40-man roster. Looks like he has found a home in South Florida. Two and two. And upstairs again, ball 3. Isert is a guy capable of going multiple innings. This is nothing new for him. got him. One down.
He's retired all four he's faced. He struck out Sanchez in his first inning back in the 8th, and now he gets Lopez, and it's another good breaking ball down and into the righty and out of his way out in front of it.
So now Griffin Conine, as that one will sail to the backstop. Conine 0 for 3 today. Had 3 hits yesterday and hit a home run on Friday night. Swings through it, 1-1. And in the air to left, Loperfido there. 2 down. Well, there's a guy who's going to go home, and I would think at some point say, I did okay this year. And he did more than that. The way he came back from the minors and pitched at the end, and again, in a season in which there have not been enough positive stories, Bowden Francis is at the head of the list. And, you know, the Blue Jays, I think, certainly feel like they've got a starting pitcher going forward.
Yeah, Pete Walker was talking about Bowden Francis to me the other day. Said, you know what, I think he understands now that even when you go to the mound and you don't have your best stuff, he can compete. And he has learned that this year, and he can compete when his velocity's down a little.
Loperfido back to make a nice running catch. Fortes is retired, and it is on to the bottom of the 9th. One last shot at it, folks. The last 50-50 draw of the season. It goes until midnight tonight. It is a split the pot raffle. 10 winners will split what is now well over $1.5 million and still climbing. BlueJays.com/50-50 from anywhere in Ontario or Nova Scotia. And a big thanks to everybody who has supported Jays Care and watched our telecast. We talked about our crew, but the team is nothing, and we are nothing. Our broadcasts are nothing without the fans. 31,000 today, almost 2.7 million this season, and a big thank you from all of us for everybody who joined us for Blue Jays baseball this year.
Absolutely. We value every one of you, and we hope that you enjoy watching the broadcast, and we like meeting you from time to time, no matter where we are. At home, on the road, doesn't make any difference. Good fans.
Yep. February 22nd. The Blue Jays and the Yankees in the first spring training game. March 27th, first regular season game here. The Orioles in town. Davis Schneider leading off the bottom of the 9th. He'll be followed by Luis de Los Santos and Stuart Baroa. The 2-2 and taken low, a full count. I think everybody on this team, whether it's the older guys, the younger guys, will go home and reflect upon the year, try to figure out a way to be better than they were this year. And, you know, George Springer's talked about that. Chris Bassett's talked about that. Kevin Gausman has talked about that. Kind of the older players who have seen it all. Have talked about it. There are a few guys on this team, like Bowden Francis can go home and say,
yeah,
this was a good season, although he wants to take it to another level. But most of the guys on this team, I think, would tell you they've got to be better next year.
Until you have success, there's always a hint of doubt in there. Can I really be an everyday big league player? And Bowden Francis has answered that question dramatically this year.
Addison Barger is going to pinch hit for Luis de Los Santos. He represents the tying run. Barger getting some time at third base and in right field, showed some power. Cut down on the swing and a miss, but the average kind of fell at the end as well. And like a lot of the younger players, you saw it in glimpses, but not consistently. And that's kind of part of the deal for young players trying to break into the big leagues. You see the ups and downs.
Yeah, that's one thing that when you think about it, in Barger, he has now 7 pitch hitting at bats, and he has 1 hit. He's got power. He had 7 home runs this season. But too, for position players like Barger, you come up and you think big league pitching is going to be unhittable. Well, it's true. If you're in the big leagues or AAA, you get a good pitch to hit, you always got a chance.
Down and in, 2-2. Inside again, a full count.
You saw Jose Barrios there on the bench, and he had a great start to his season, a fantastic finish to his season. I'm sure for him, he would think about the middle games of the season and how he can avoid that long stretch of less than premier performance. But he was great at the start and great at the end.
Lopez drops it, and for the second time today, while trying to start a double play, he bobbles, recovers, and gets 1 out at first.
Yeah, he might have got that one on the bare finger. You see how he's concerned about his index finger. He got his hand involved, and that might have been the reason that he dropped the ball. As he was turning, getting his body in position to make the throw to second, but for a second time, as you mentioned, he bobbled it, picked it up, and got the out at first.
So runner at second, 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th, and the batter is Stuart Baroa. The third baseman for the Marlins, Norby, is way in. Should Baroa think about dropping a bunt down to try to get aboard. Baroa today is 2 for 3, couple of base hits. He's got 2 of the 4 hits the Blue Jays have this afternoon. A pop-up back of the plate. Fortes tosses the mask away and makes the catch. 2 down. And so the Blue Jays are down to their final out of the regular season. It'll be Joey Loperfido, 0 for 3, drove in a run with a ground ball his last time up. Takes it high for ball 1. Other than fishing, what do you got going over the winter?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Just going to chill out.
Yeah.
Get down to Florida and get settled once again at home.
Good for you.
Going to go fishing, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
Great trip in February to Panama. That's right before spring training. Probably around the time that the pitchers and catchers report to Dunedin. I'll be reporting to Panama.
1-2 on Loperfido.
I know what you're doing. You're taking a bit of a time off and then getting back to hoops.
Little college basketball. Yeah.
I tell you what, if the weather stays like this, you'll have a heck of a month off.
I would love that. Love fall. And strike 3 called to end the game and end the season as Bender gets Loperfido. And the Blue Jays get swept by the Marlins. They lose today 3-1, and they will wind up the 2024 season with a record of 74-88.
Very disappointing. We've talked about it, and now the work starts. John Schneider and his staff, they're going to start meetings, and they've already begun talking about the season, evaluating what went right, what went wrong, and how you get better. But the Blue Jays as an organization have a lot of work to do. That man right there should be very proud of the season he's put together, and he had a tremendous season, and He did a lot of great things. Bowden Francis the same, and there were bright spots here and there, but not enough of them to put together a winning season.
And a final wave to the crowd for Guerrero as he makes his way towards the clubhouse. Time now for Blue Jays Central. Let's send it to Jamie, Joe, and Madison.
Podcast